3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of the Quality Antics podcast, where we interview everyday people doing extraordinary things. On this week's episode, we catch up with Benny's Barbershop owner, Ben Scott. Now, he's growing a bit of a barbershop empire here in Christchurch, New Zealand. Let's hear his story. Ben Scott, welcome to the Quality Antics podcast. How's things?
Good, mate.
Nice. Let's rip straight into the episode. For those people who maybe don't know, maybe they're from overseas, they don't know about you at all. Tell us, let's go way back to the origin story of you yourself, life story. How did it begin?
So, life story. Grew up on the West Coast, a small little town called Reefton. There's 1,200 people that live there, a very small town. Grew up there till I was about 14, and then moved to Burnside. Quite a big change. Jumped into a big school that had 2,500 kids in one block, so it was pretty random. And then went through high school at Burnside. Left school, was playing rugby at school and stuff like that. Left school in year 13 to do a building apprenticeship. Started that. Did that for 2 or 3 years. Got to about 21. I started just doing some friends' haircuts at home, and I just kind of found out that you could have some fun doing mates' haircuts, and it was quite a fun job. You got to get paid by catching up with mates. So yeah, from there I started watching YouTube videos to try to teach myself a little bit. So I wasn't really crap at them. I was just still a little bit crap. And then from there, stuffed up my own haircut. Went into a shop to get it fixed up just before we were about to go away on New Year's. And this guy, it was real random. He actually he asked me who did my haircut for a start, and I said I did it at home by myself. He's like, it's actually not too bad, so that's pretty random. He said, once you come home from your holiday, come on in, bring your gear in, and I'll bring one of your mates and I'll give you a trial haircut. And I was like, that's pretty funny, because I could get a job in a barbershop while I was building still, so I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So I gave it a nudge, bring him in, and it was one of my mates, and I'd never done his haircut before. He had long hair with scissors, and I gave him a wee nick on the ear, and just was real flustered, and it just threw me off. But then he just cracked up laughing. He's like, don't worry, you'll cut heaps of people in the ear. He goes, well, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll be here from 8:30, meet you here and bring your gear, and you'll be cutting my clients here. So he kind of just let me cut loose from a young age, and I was like 20. I was 20 at that time, and he just said, if you don't know how to do a haircut, just tell him to go away. And I was like, that's random as. And like the second week I was there, he gave me the key to the shop, and he said, and I'd only work Friday nights and Saturdays, and he'd go, right, if you don't know how to do a haircut, on my way next week, so you literally, if you don't know how to do it, don't stuff it up, just tell them to go away, that you got no space for them. So I was just like, it's random to give someone your key for a starters. And then I was like, well, this is fun, I get to get paid again. I got my mates in, do haircuts and have coffees and muck around. And then playing rugby, about 6 months later, I tore my ACL playing rugby, ditched building altogether. I had dermatitis on my hands, so I was getting cracked fingertips. So I was always thinking of a way out of building anyway, once getting qualified, and that kind of put a wee stump in the way there. So I was like, okay, well, let's just ditch it. And I said to Mum, I want to quit and be a barber. She was she cracked up laughing, and she goes to me, you're not, are you? And I said, I'm not what? And she goes, you're not gay, are you? And so I was ripping her out. I was like, no, I'm not gay, I just think this is a crack up job that you get paid to hang out with your mates. And so I looked into going, and she goes, well, if you're going to take this seriously, I want you to go and study. So I went up to Auckland for 3 months and did barber school. Came back from barber school, and I didn't really want to work for anyone, so I was like, I want to go do my own thing. And I had a vision of like this big industrial warehouse space where you could kick basketballs at the walls, you could do whatever you wanted really, and just have a big man cave. So I set that up, and started drawing plans for that for like 4 years ago now.
Wow.
Of what I wanted to do with it, and had like a clear vision of how I wanted to get there with containers and other bits and pieces, and then see the container malls, like containers stacked up, and I was like, that's cool. And just watching like Pinterest and all sorts of random bits. So I kind of started from there and just been like, okay, I want to set it up. So I had to work backwards from my vision and try to figure out how I'm going to get there. And so I started with a small little caravan. I had a
Before you got the caravan, what were you cutting out of then?
mum and dad's sleep out. Yeah, so mum and dad had a little sleep out in the back of the
Nice.
house, and it was probably like 9 square meters, which is tiny. I had one chair, a little bench, and I just put some plywood on the floor and just chucked a random couch in there, and it made it try to feel like a barbershop. And there's my own my cuts from home.
Yeah.
And I'd do that, and then I'd build my caravan at the same time. So one of the guys I went away on holiday with had a caravan that he'd just done up, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I was like, so I measured it all out, and I was like, I could actually do haircuts in here, and they'd be pretty different. So I saw how he'd done it, and I went for those retro colours and just like figured out my look and just tried like hammering it home. And so figured that out. Slowly transitioned from the sleep out to the caravan, and then it was pumping when I did that. I did a deal with all my first customers. I said, I'll give you a free haircut if you bring me someone new. So it went from being only my friends known about to my friends. They couldn't bring one of my mates in because I've already had them through for a haircut. So then they had to think outside the box, get their group of mates to come in, and then their cousins or their family and their just their workmates and all sorts. So it grew real quick. I had from when I first started that caravan, like the first day was like a majority booked up, and then I just slowly would figure out systems to make it work better. And then what ended up happening is I just had to work from 8 in the morning till 10 at night just to do as many haircuts as I could do, because I knew I had to hire someone at some stage, but I didn't want to hire someone to sit around and play PlayStation, even though it happens every now and again. So yeah, I did just threw everything I had at it, and just asked mum and dad for a wee loan at the start, and they were pretty generous enough to give it to me, and then said you need to set up an automatic payment the day after I got it. So that's good of them to do, and it's helped me to get where I am today. So started that, did that for a year by myself, just pumping it out. Just I'd go to work, I'd be at work majority of the day, and then into the night, and then come home, sleep, go back and do it again the next day. I did that for a solid year before I took on Craig, and he's the one of the barbers here still, and one of the managers.
How did you find him? How did that start?
Me and him went to school together, so it was pretty convenient that I already knew him. He was quite interested in haircuts. He was working in a bar at the time, and he'd come and help me do like little pop-ups.
Yeah.
Like when we go to like placemakers and do free haircuts, I was like, well, it's only a free haircut, you can't really stuff it up too much. And I was like, I'll make some coffees and I'll help you out, you do that, and I'll just train him a little bit, and then from there we just slowly trained little bits and pieces. And then he came on 2 years ago in May, and we've just slowly been building it up since then, I guess.
So with that transition from just you yourself, like you said, you just about pumped like a year solid. Were there moments in there where you're like, stuff this, I need an employee, but then you're like, keep telling yourself, no, I just need to wait? Or were you just like, you knew you weren't ready for an employee yet?
There's a couple of issues. Like obviously we only have one chair in a barbershop. You need another vehicle to cut from. So I needed to find another caravan to build or figure out the next step of where I was going. So that was a big part of it. So I ended up buying a caravan. Maybe I did. Yeah, I got the first one in February. Opened it in May. Got the second one in just after February, and opened that in May as well. So I kind of knew how long it would take to build it. But the only way I could build it was either pay someone, which I didn't want to do because I was just going to drop money into it. So I was like, I might as well build it, and I know how everything's built. I didn't have any plans. I just knew how it was built in my head. And so I'd just pump hours at it, and I was like, right, I'll cut 6 days a week, and on Sunday I'll build as much as I can. And I'll be like a zombie some days on Sunday. Like you'd make stupid mistakes and you'd be like raging out, but I kind of knew that I had to get that opened, the second one, before I could hire another person, because then I'd be basically paying them to stand next to me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So kind of working that up, and then then we pretty much straight after that, Craig came on. We hired again, and then 3 months later we hired again, and then it's been pretty much like every 3 months we've hired at least one person, sometimes two. Majority of them some came on with experience. A good chunk of people come on with zero experience. They just come to me, and we have a real casual coffee, and I'd rather go for a coffee than take them into the barbershop and freak them out, because they'll just get stressed out. So I'll go out for a coffee at a different location, and I'll just see if they can talk, because that's one of my biggest things. Is I'd rather have someone that can talk to people, and they're like, people they enjoy being around people rather than someone that's really good at cutting that doesn't know how to talk to someone. So I'd rather that skill, and then we can teach them the cutting side, which is way more fun. And then you get to teach people skills they can take on to the life sort of thing. So.
Yeah. Nice. So how many staff have you got currently? You grew and grew and grew. What are we at now?
We're at 10, 11 barbers, a full-time barista, and a full-time graphic designer, and they're part-time. So there's 13, 14 including me.
Yeah,
so,
working.
So, and mum one day every 2 weeks. So I guess 15-ish. So,
if you count mum,
yeah,
helping you
or
out.
14.1 or something like that. So, yeah.
So you caravans, and then there in between there, you mentioned containers early on, and containers have been a big part of. We're sitting in the headquarters right now. For those people who don't know, so you dreamt this crazy dream up years ago now, 4 years ago, and we're in here now recording this podcast. So it's pretty cool to see. How did the containers come about? It sounds like early on you knew you wanted to use containers, and where did you get them from? How did that go? Did it go smoothly? And where did you place them? And why did you place them there?
Yeah, so quite random. I used to build for a building company when I first left school, and he used to have a little 10-foot container, but it was more as like a little storage shed, and it used to have a real low ceiling. So I thought 10-foot containers were just really small, and he was the sort of person that would think outside the box, like everything he did. So I was like, he's kind of like the guy that I look to. If I have a question, I'll just ask him first, and then go from there. And so the 10-foot container, I thought it was a really low one. He's like, no, why don't you get a 10-foot container? Because I couldn't find any more caravans, and I was having trouble with height issues of the caravans. Like some of the boys were too tall. Some shifts they couldn't work in one. So I was coming up with ideas like how I could cut the roof off one of the caravans and redo it, whether it cost me $1,000 or whatever it cost to raise the roof or drop the floor out. I was coming up with all sorts of ideas, just trying to figure out a problem, a solution for the problem. Yeah. So then he hit me up and he said, what about a 10-foot container? So I measured out a 10-foot container, and then like a week and a half later, I went down to it's like storage box or something like that. It was like Space Wise it was. I popped into there and I was like, do you guys have 10-foot containers? And they're like, yep, we've got one right there, ready to go. It's $3,500. And I was like, sweet, take that, the same price as what one of my caravans cost. And it was a big box, and I was like, I like that real square look of it. I do like the retro caravan style because it is that old school style, and I really like the old school wave through the shop. But I like that real like square, like I don't know, like abrupt sort of thing. And like containers are epic because you can do like a fit out in a container, and then when you need to move, you just come in with a big high ab,
close the
door and pick it up and take it somewhere else, and then your fit out's always removable rather than like fixing in one spot. So I was like, that's a cool idea to be able to do it. That the only thing you need to do is plumb it in or hook the wires up for it. And so I've made all the plumbing so we can kind of like unhook it whenever we need to, or just cut it off and rehook in. All the power is just on like a caravan plug, so you can just plug them in wherever you need to go.
Sweet.
Or it goes into the generator. So I did that from the very start. I was like, okay, I want to try and have like this little modular fit out that if I need to move into another building, I can move within like a week. So I think we moved all of Burnside, all of Addington out over 2 days. It was like, it's 2 long days, and then we basically did that Friday, Saturday, cleaned up on Sunday, and opened Monday morning when we moved in here. So there was like, and that was the main role of my business is barbershops. It's not the design side of it, or coffees. It's just the barbershops are like the driver of this business, which is one of the 2 containers stacked up on top. I found a 20-foot container after that because I was like, that'd be quite a different sort of style, same amount of stuff in there, just an extra chair. So no different to what the 10-foot is, but it's just a longer version. So I was like, well, started looking around on Trade Me, and they're cheaper than a 10-foot container. So I was like, it's even better, yeah, because the 10-foot's got to be custom built. It's actually like a 20-footer that just cut in half and just remake it. So I was like, I can find a container pretty easy. And there's so many of them getting shipped in. They have so many in New Zealand. So I was like, well, might as well buy one of those, deck it out, and see what happens. So I started building one of those. I found that at Easter Camp. Some of our friends that we know through the shop just had it as storage out there. So they said it's got a couple of holes in the roof, and I was like, doesn't matter for me because it's going to go inside anyway. So picked it up, took it to this yard, and just started building it. and that was the bottom one that was in Addington. And then what happened is we were getting too big and too fast again, and it was outgrowing mum and dad's front yard. And that was already pumping from 8 in the morning till 10 at night, but I was up to like 7 guys working out of mum and dad's house, and it was pretty full on. So I was like, okay, we'll drop it back to 4 there, and we'll grab 2 out. And as I was building that 20-foot container, I was nearly finished, and then Hallensteins came up, and they hit us up and said, do you want to, there's a shop in town, they said, do you want to put your store and our store? Because I'd done a pop-up for them before, and I was like, this is kind of random. I was like, when? And they said, like, oh, we kind of want to do it in about 6 weeks time. And I was like, it's not a bad option. And I was about to open my Addington store, so I was like, well, I've got all the fit out ready. So I basically stripped all my fit out of the 20-foot container, like all my joinery units and my sink unit and everything, and I just dropped it in there. And I built a bigger couch and just replaced the one from there. And then I was like, well, now I've kind of opened that. And then before, like another month after that, I think it was 2 months, I kind of just went straight back. So as soon as I opened Hallensteins, went straight back and started building those things again. So I started pumping those out, and then I was like, crap. I was like, I need to open up another one. So I just picked up that container from that yard and dropped it in Addington and plumbed it in and got it running from there again. And I was like, oh, sweet, that works well for me. So it starts another location, and it means that we can free up a bit of space still. So I did that, and then over Christmas time, just after New Year's, found another one. That one was through Royal Wolf. They're just like, yep, I went for a week tour around their massive container yard, and I was just looking for the big beat up one with big dents in it and scraped up floors, and I was like, that's perfect, that's the one I want. And then we spray painted it up, and then I built that over the Christmas holiday. We smashed that out and just had it sitting there ready, waiting to go, and I think that was finished in end of January. I think I did it in 4 weeks.
Wow.
So I got that down where I could just pump the hours into it and build, and the shops were kind of running themselves a wee bit with the systems that I set up. So I kind of could do the building side, come back, and then hang out in the shop, do some haircuts, and then go back and do some more building. So did that, and then and then it was pretty much all ready to go, and so I was just sitting there waiting for the space to let me in, and then I could start building my stuff. So got pushed back a little bit, and so I basically just had to wait until I was ready. I had all my fit out ready to go, and I just, as soon as I got the entry, and I was in there for the first day, I was there till 12 at night. So I did 8 in the morning till 12 at night for probably 4 weeks straight, with a couple of 2 a.m.s in the middle there. Just I was running such a tight schedule, so I needed to pump it out. So did that, and then just tried smashing out as much as I could, up until today, I guess, is we opened on the 7th of May. So I just smashed as many hours as possible into it, and to make it work and look how I want it, rather than open and being half cooked. That it was just that we were still building things, and so I was like, we'll get it smashed out there. There might be a couple of little bits that we can add, but it's not major things. So
yeah.
So
for those people listening, or if you haven't been to the headquarters, there's a couple of 20-foot containers, a 10-foot container, there are a couple of caravans, a basketball, a little half-court, a few arcade games, full cafe, barista pumping out some fresh coffees. What else am I missing? A little bit of merch there. And it's the craziest and coolest barbershop I've ever seen in my life. And you've got an office space. A shared office space. Tell us the reasoning behind that, or because obviously you had to decide it somewhere along the way. Was that always in the plan, or did you?
That was always in the plan. From an early stage, I realised that I didn't like working by myself, and one of my strengths is just talking with people around me and verbally processing things. So talking to whoever it might be that's next to me, just to air out some ideas, and I kind of figure out the pros and cons in my head, or if someone gives me an idea before they have really thought about it, I've already thought about some of the things I might run into. So I was like, well, I can actually give that knowledge to other people as well, and I can help them out, they can help me out. So I sort of looked at it. It sounds lame from a boy to say it, but it's like a flower, sort of it sounds real random, but if you can imagine a flower in the middle, middle of the flower, it was the driver, so the main client, so the client's walking through the front door of the barbershop, and so what I wanted to do with the space upstairs was say I've got a client that comes upstairs and talks to us or talks to the barista downstairs, and they're the middle of the flower, and then there's the petals of each one. Each petal is like a different person that has a different business or a different thing that they've got nothing really to do with me other than that I enjoy working with them and that I'll pass work on to them. So if someone say comes upstairs and they need to talk and they were like, hey, I'm looking at starting a business or doing something like this, and what I wanted to be able to do with that is say they came to me and they said, oh, I'm looking at getting some photos done, or I'm looking at getting a video done, or I'm looking at getting some design done. We could kind of pass it down the table, around the table sort of thing, and have like that one person get like hookups the whole way around the table, so it helps them benefit them rather than having to like I guess like bounce off different ideas, and they might have some mates and stuff like that, but it was kind of like one of those ideas that we can kind of work together and push work towards each other, or whether someone's a little bit light so they can go about, man, it sucks a bit light, and I'm like, oh yeah, sweet, you can help us out doing this. That's the idea behind it, or and like we always are going on little missions, so I was like, well, get some people on board that are keen to just like do things like just think outside the box a wee bit, and just pump some time into it, and actually just want to try to figure out what they want to do and who they can what their clientele is, and just try to figure out what their vision of their business is behind it. So.
Love it. I love the flower analogy. That's flipping brilliant, man, and it totally makes sense, and I can see that kind of happening here. So there's a few people we've moved in upstairs to the shared space, and there's a few more coming very shortly, so yeah, it's very cool. In terms of me discovering you, I found you on Instagram, I think, and just through the rumour mills of like what's going on. And then one thing that I noticed straight away was that there were lots of rugby players taking photos or getting their haircut from you. How did that connection start? You mentioned that you played rugby. Was it through your personal connections like that, or did you reach out to people, or how did that all start?
Yeah, it sort of started through probably me playing rugby, and so it was kind of random. So when I got injured, I was playing rugby we were playing social rugby, we were playing Div 4. So my manager for my rugby team, he was an engineer, and he works at an engineering firm, and he's a draftsman there, and he worked with one of the rugby players that played for Tom Stanley is his name, and he worked for the same company, and they were just like, oh, you need to go get a haircut from there, and he'd just been playing rugby, and I kind of like started chatting to him when he came in for a haircut, and he was saying, oh, I've been working in the Hawke's Bay, and then I come back and work a bit from down here, and I was like, how come you go up to Hawke's Bay? And he's like, oh, I've been playing rugby for them up there, and I kind of like clicked, and I was like, oh yeah, sweet. And I was like, and then I knew that the week after that the Chiefs were playing down here, so I said to him, I was like, you probably know some of those boys because the Hawke's Bay is close to Chiefs, and there'll be a few players that play there. And he's like, yeah. He's like, there's quite a few of them. And I said to him, I was like, would you know some of those players? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, what about this? If I give them free haircuts, and in exchange, all I need is a photo, and I'll drag the caravan out to wherever they're staying, and I'll take power or whatever. There's no like stress or anything. Do you reckon you could get me the contact? And he's like, yeah. So we did he got me the Chiefs like in first, and then put a photo online of me doing the Chiefs haircuts, and that was legit there.
Did you go to their training or their?
I went to their hotel. So the night before the game, I would drag the caravan out and I'd do the haircuts before the game with the caravan. And it was easy because they just walk on outside, play some PlayStation, get a haircut, and it made it easier. So then I went from there. The week after, that was in town at the Ridges, and then the week after they played the Blues. So I went out to the Blues. I hadn't done I think maybe one of the Crusaders maybe at this stage. Went out to the Blues, did all the haircuts there, and then came back, and then the Hurricanes were playing like 3 weeks later, and it wasn't until I did the Hurricanes, the very last haircut of the night was Bowden Barrett, and he said to me, he's like, I said to him, I was like, you guys are playing here with All Blacks later this year, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, here's my number. I said to him, I was like, is there any chance I've got to drag the caravan out if anyone wants haircuts? Just I'll flick you a text closer to the time. Yeah. And he's like, yeah. He's like, here's my number. So just kind of real casual, and I was just like, I'll just see if I can go out and do some haircuts for them, just for more marketing stuff that I was doing it. And it was kind of random at the same time. And then the All Blacks played here. I dragged the caravan out again to them at George and did some haircuts there again. That was pretty random because like we're middle of haircuts, and I was kind of like, you was like, as a child, you grew up watching the All Blacks, and then we're sitting there doing the haircuts, and I like kind of like turned around and I like looked around a little bit, and the whole caravan was like packed full of All Blacks playing FIFA, and then like there was 2 or 3 of them outside, just sort of sitting on the chair waiting, and you're kind of like behind the scenes of what goes on behind there, which is quite cool. Like a lot of them would see them so serious in the public media and stuff like that. And then there's like the ice bath and stuff, so they were like, it's kind of like still like finishing up training and stuff, so it was pretty random to have there. And then like I was doing Jerome Kano's haircut, and the manager comes in and pops his head in, and he goes, do you guys want any beers or chocolate? And so I was eating chocolate, doing the haircut, and having a beer. I was like, this is so weird. Like, it was like they hadn't really like sunk it in. And so that was doing all that. So that went real good on social media. That pumped it like a good chunk into Instagram and Facebook there. And so I just keep promoting, like I was like, that's my market. That's like the rugby people that know on social media. I know what my market is, and my market is like people that are relevant, like things that are on social media. You put people that are relevant, that people know. Yeah. People are gonna react to it more than they'll seeing a haircut.
Uncle Jim getting a haircut.
Say if you just posted doing a haircut every single time, it's like people get sick of it and they'll start unfollowing and just get sick of it. But if you're doing like random things that our feed's never the same, it's sort of we might be doing like a haircut on the roof of my car, or we might be down in like Queenstown, or we might be doing a haircut in the store here, or we're doing stuff rather than just doing haircuts.
Yeah. Fuzzy. And then, but how did you link up with the Crusaders? So it seems like you cut every Super Rugby franchise's haircut, and then did some of the Crusaders boys be like, why have you not been hitting us up? Or how did that?
So a few of them had a little I don't know, they had this spot that they went to, and it's very like Christchurch way, as if it's not broken, don't fix it, and I understand that. Yeah,
true.
And so I was like, I've actually met Izzy Dag at the All Blacks one. He was the first one I did a haircut for, so like him, Artie Severe, and a few of those other boys that I did their haircuts, and so that was kind of like a link into when I saw them anyway with the other teams. And so I met a couple of them that night, so a couple of the Crusaders, and like met them a few times doing some random things, and then started getting like the hook up to about to go, because one of my mates worked as like an analysis person for the Crusaders, so that kind of gave us a little link in, because we'd actually met them and we weren't going to kind of like be dicks basically. I walked in and started doing haircuts at the Crusaders like trainings as well, and that became a little bit of like a normal thing. So like a treat for them was like the Canterbury boys and the Crusaders would come through, and like that was like one off before their finals. We did a couple of those ones, and so each time I'd kind of do it, I'd try get a jersey and get it to get signed. So like when we come here, we've got like a wall of jerseys that have got signed. So that was pretty cool. And then I guess the next one from that was we did the Western Force. And that was pretty funny, like doing the Western Force, because they didn't have any way of getting out to Burnside. I couldn't really park up there. I was like under the pump with haircuts. So I was like, well, what I'll do is I messaged the guy and I was like, mate, I'll come out, I'll pick you up, and we like loaded up the Ford Falcon full of like rugby boys. It was like packed to the brim. There's like 8 of us in there. Took them back to Burnside, did all their haircuts, and they just Ubered home. So it was the funniest thing, like watching like everyone get out of the car, jump in, and there's like they're all locks and props and stuff, so big boys as well. So
cracker.
And then that's kind of like we'd start reaching, like, because they'd seen it, made it more aware. They like the rugby boys felt more comfortable coming to us, because they'd seen all these other people coming to us. So it kind of took a long time to build it up, probably like 2-3 years to build it up, and then just meeting all the Crusaders, and I just made a deal with them. I was just like, you just have to, if you come in, and it's not treating them any different to anyone else, but I was like, I know what my market is, and it's just part of my marketing plan is having these rugby boys come through. And I've actually met heaps of them now. Just like I cut a deal with them. I was like, you just have to get a photo. That's my one deal. And then they're stoked with it. I don't make them post anything on their social media. It's up to them if they want to do it. I couldn't care less. It's more just so we've got some things to put out there, and just try different marketing strategies and try to figure out what works and what doesn't work.
No, cool, sweet. Pretty epic story. Why don't we have a break from you filling us in on your awesome journey to going into the hat. We've got some mystery questions, and you can pick one first. So cool. What a rise. What do we got? Oh, if you can't read it, pass it over.
If you're an animal, what animal would you be?
Oh, when I put this in, I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to answer this. Have you got any ideas out off the gate?
Ooh.
You've thought of this, haven't you?
Nah, no, not really. It's
See, my gut's just telling me straight away, you'd want to be an animal that would be higher up in the food chain, but also has quite a chill life, like an enjoyable life. Like I wouldn't want to be a shark or something. I feel like that'd be boring. Would a lion be cool? Or is that cliche?
Like what's one that's kind of like that's always, I'd say probably like a monkey actually. Yeah. Like quite cheeky and like has a bit of like a laugh and it just kind of takes the piss quite a bit. Like he can have fun,
Perfect.
but take the piss and be serious, but still take the piss.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of resembles what I like. My thing is it'd be rude not to, and that's like a little motto. It'd be rude not to, and you just do what you can get away with doing whatever you want when you say, "Oh, it'd be rude not to." So.
Yeah. I'm so vague, but I'm just gonna lock in a lion because you get to chill, look after some people, and go on a bit of a hunt, eat some good food, and you're a bit of a boss, which is pretty cool. That'd be quite sweet. See, that's tough. I should have given you these questions earlier. Got to really think about it. But I guess oh man, this is another one you got to think. Okay, so if you're on an island and you can only bring 3 things, what would they be? A deserted island. Let's put that
deserted island.
Hawaii. Hawaii. What would you?
I'll take my drone. It'd be up there because it's so much fun, and then you can go on a mission. I guess you can kind of discover the whole island with your drone. So very quickly you can see what's on the island.
It's not a bad idea.
You only got like 17 minutes of charge, but at the same time you want to do it real quick. So I'll take my drone. So there's one. I'd probably take a little sharp knife, so you can like carve some little things. So you can make little spears and you can do little things like that. Like,
it's a good shout.
You can, and then you can sharpen things up and make things like a little hatchet or something like that. Maybe. And then I guess food would be pretty key, but if you learn to live off the island, I guess that's so that's what your sharp knife's for. I'd say some sort of one of those like flint lighters, so you can light, so you can use the resources off the island.
True. For
at least a little bit. Whether it's got any food or anything on it, but you can do some fishing, you can do whatever. Try and make something.
Good shout. I was thinking fishing rod as an option, but it'd be high risk fishing, and a knife of some description is good. And then fire is key. If you're out in the middle of like a desert island, if you can't get a fire going,
it get cold. So that's why I was thinking like a flint because it sparks rather than the matches.
Yeah, but I would just say like, give me a lighter or something just so I can chuck in my pocket and go for it. But I don't know. All right, but the drone, I never thought of that. You could survey the whole island.
You could stand
something over here
rather than walk around the whole island. You can get like 2,000 feet away, sort of thing, and so you can go on a mission real quick. So.
Yeah. No, good shout. I want to do one more. I'm gonna grab this brown one. So we'll wrap it up after this. What? Okay, maybe this is random. I don't think I wrote this one. All it says is fake news. I don't know what it means by that, but fake news. Does it mean that we mean to go down the route of like Donald Trump and all that Hillary stuff? That's so deep for the podcast. I'm scrapping that. Let's get straight into the final bit, which is you kind of telling the people where they can see all your epic content, and if they want to come check out the HQ maybe, or what's the future? Let's go there first. What's the future of Benny's Barbershop?
Future would be, I want to own my own space. I don't want to rent.
Cool.
All my life. So I want to set up a big hub sort of thing, and not only I kind of look at it like not a mall because a mall's lame, but just like a cool space that people can come, and like all the businesses, like same as that flower sort of idea, but all the business owners
network that
they all work together. That's like that there's no clashes between them because you're communicating all the time, and if you communicate, you can, if there's problems, you just bring it up and don't let it stew. So ideally what I want to be able to do is do something similar along the lines and develop my own building, and actually look after these other business owners, because I've been in the position where I've been pushed around by people, and it's no fun. And unless you're a stubborn little shit like myself, it's really easy to get pushed around when you are starting, and you kind of, but once you know that what you're doing is right, and you're sticking to what you know, you can kind of do whatever you want to do. And so I kind of just was like, screw you guys, I'm just gonna do my own thing, and that's why I ditched from building, and I had that clear vision of what I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it bigger than that, but actually work with the business owners to be able to develop and teach them how to treat employees, how to treat staff, and all sorts, and like how to treat people, rather than just treat people like, oh, this is a way to make money, rather than actually invest in your business, and not just money wise, you invest in the people that actually make your business work. So there was like a Richard Branson thing where he made a small thing, and he was saying about that a small business at the start, you basically put all your time into your customers and all your time into your business, and then that goes, so there's like a triangle. But when you actually figure out that you've got staff, it kind of at the start you've got 3 points that you've got to like look at, so it's not a triangle straight away, it's like, or it kind of goes in like a 4-way thing, but it's kind of like you turn it into a circle. That he goes, if you set the systems right, you'll put a little bit of time into your business, a little bit of time into your customers, but you put the majority of time into your staff. And so if your staff know how you work, the staff look after the business look after the customers look after the thing, and it goes down in a circle. So where some people get wrong is what they do is they look after all their staff, and then look after the customers, and then they make money, and then the business starts looking after them, but they get greedy, and they don't treat their staff how they should be treated. And so I kind of had a motto from the very, very start, was be the best employer that you would want to work for. So whether that's someone that does start making good money and people see that, is not being a dick about it and just being like, I need to swing, like drive around in these fancy trucks and stuff like that. Like, I couldn't care less. I'd rather have a beat up old car that I crash into something and I kind of like laugh about it a wee bit, rather than like, oh, here we go. So that's kind of what I want to be able to do, is actually teach business owners a wee bit how to treat staff. And it's not anything like complicated or anything like that. So it's quite simple. It's just treat them for who they are, which are people. And so do that, and then moving forward with this space would be adding some food, adding Pie Day Friday, adding a food truck. Yeah.
Did you see that thing I tagged you in yesterday about pies? And like, someone online had posted about a review. I think it's like Christchurch Pie Reviews or some random page, and they were like, "Here's the final results of our big like tastings."
I didn't see that. I lost that yesterday, but I'll
Fairly Pies was on top. They won, and then
so Fairly Pies will be coming to join us.
So, fingers crossed.
So we'll be once we get some stuff signed off and finished, we'll get the pie warmers in, get whatever we need to do that, and we'll make a thing of Pie Day Friday. So see how that goes along the way, but it'll be pretty funny. But then I want to look at adding just more things to the space and make it cooler, that it's more enjoyable for the boys. So when they come to work, there'll be lunches, and I can save them money. So when they move forward in their life, they can actually save for some things. They can save for houses, they can save for trips, they can do all those sorts of things, rather than work being like a burden. You kind of have a good work-life balance that they can come to work, they don't have to worry about lunch that day because we'll have the food truck. So and I'll pay for their lunch and do all that sort of stuff, and like look after them, because they look after and make my job. If they enjoy what they do and they love what they do and they love looking after the customers, and some customers they won't enjoy looking after too much, but it's just a part of it. And it's just like, you get the right customers coming through your shop and you have the right vibe, people will enjoy coming, and it makes it easier like at my end, and then it leaves me to do what I need to do, and that's the focus on the business side of it, of what we're going to be doing behind the scenes, sometimes setting the systems and then trickling that down the line a wee bit, that everyone understands the systems. So. So.
Yeah, I've actually got so many more questions for you. I don't know why we talked about wrapping it up. I'll be real quick though, because I know you're a busy man. But love what you said, love what you mentioned, and it's been fun for me in the last month or so being in the space and watching you work your magic and try and make this thing happen. And then the staff came in, and then I can totally see where you're getting at, and that you want to look after the staff because they're great guys. It is like a little bit of a family thing here.
Yeah.
Like this weekend, you've got a work do on, and you kind of mentioned to me that you wanted a bit of education there, a bit of something thought-provoking with a few people coming through there, plus just a bit of time to kick back and relax, and they're going to get the PlayStations out and just like spend some quality time together that's not like working. And I love it. What quick question, you're a busy man, what do you do in the times when you're not cutting or you're not here working on something? If like, what are your hobbies and interests besides this job that you do?
So I try. So like it's really hard. So when you start a business, this is what happens: is it starts taking over your whole life of like what you do day to day. So stuff is like you wake up, you go to work, you go home, you're still thinking about it. So I try to have a few things that I do, and I try to set systems. So like one thing that I do every single Sunday, a Sunday night, is I have like I go to the night church at Grace Vineyard, and I go there every single week because it helps giving me some structure into my week, because your week is so all over the show. If I don't have any structure, it kind of just like your week can get away on you. And so I have the structure, and that starts me at the very, very start of the week.
Yeah.
And so I look Sunday as my like day off, but also day to go and kind of set my week up right,
reset and everything.
Because when you come in Monday morning, like first thing, like you might get a text, and it could be someone could be off sick, or someone, it's not that it happens all the time or anything like that, but it could be all sorts of variables, like something's broken, something's off sick, someone's I don't know, something's happened over the weekend, someone could have got injured, or you can end up with like all sorts of things that you have to deal with. Or you crash into your flatmate's car, and you're like, damn it, now I gotta fix that up. So like, all these little things that, and without that structure, it kind of like it makes my week just go nuts, and it kind of like throws me off for a whole week. So so I have that, and then I also have a couple of little things. So I try, and it's been a bit hectic the last couple of weeks, but I try and set a few things. So like going out to the motorbike track.
Cool.
Because I can kind of switch my phone off, and I can't listen to my phone. I don't get distracted by my phone for like at least 2 hours or so, and it's like a small break, but you're literally just thinking like what is right in front of you at that time, because if you're not, it hurts a lot when you do come off. And so I come off a couple of times, and it's not too fun, but there's that, and then just how I can kind of, I guess, look after. So there's also like lots of little things that you end up doing. So like if you can like help out someone else, I guess, so it's not anything to do with my business, but then it's like doing other things, but it kind of benefits yourself as well. So there's like a young kid that I catch up with. I try to do it as much as I can. Sometimes he understands it. It's a busy time of the year with moving into the space, but I try to catch up with him and just do random things. So might go to Time Zone, we might go grab a hot chocolate somewhere, or do something like this, but I know that it's going to benefit him in the long run, that he might do that to someone else as well. So so that's like a little like give back thing rather than take all the time, I guess. So it's just giving back, and then like it kind of like helps you, because you realise like his little stresses in life might be like, oh, I got homework due or something like this, and you're like, that's the big dramas in his life. When I'm like, oh, I've got some other big dramas in my life and other things, but I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, oh, it's just like, it's pretty comparable. Like when you're at school, it's your big drama, but when you leave school, dramas are bigger, the responsibilities more, and as soon as you hire people and you have people come on and work with you or work for you, you've got more stress, you've got more in thing, unless you set things up. I guess you kind of plan to fail if you don't have those things planned out well. So so that's why I've got like little notebooks in my pocket at all times, and it's just a little fun thing I do. Just whether I get it out, and I've got notebooks everywhere, but just like I just write things down, just try to dot it down, because there'll be often, if I'm in the middle of a haircut, I get a phone call. I just have to be able to write it down quickly, whether I have to get in touch with that person or do something like that, because I want to be able to chat to that person rather than just like trying to think of something else, and I get distracted with my mind or what I'm up to. So
true. You're the king of Uber Eats. You eat a lot of Uber Eats. How did that? Tell us your story about you in the kitchen and why you get Uber Eats so often. What's your theory behind the efficiency of Uber Eats as well?
Well, I actually built the space here, so the warehouse, and I actually built a kitchen, and I haven't even got to anything in it yet. I don't even have anything in the fridge there. And it's Mum and Dad will rage out at me, but it's all good. How I look at it, and some people will probably look at it differently. If I was to stop what I was doing, go down to the food place, whether it is, and just physically sit there and wait, sometimes it is really good to go do that, but often when you've got other things, like more important things, I just look at food as like just fueling up again and just carry on. So I benefit, like it's $8 delivery or something like that, which is, it is up there, but I understand that, like, at the same time that if I go away for an hour, like it's my time is worth more than $8 for that hour. And so if I go away, and it just looks bad if I'm going out for lunch and kind of like just things. So I'll just order my lunch, get it, and I can sit at my desk or go shoot some hoops and sit downstairs and just like have a little zone out and eat my lunch and then carry on. And it means that I can basically walk outside. My food's at the doorstep. Sounds real bad, but food's at the doorstep. What I wanted to eat, and then eat it, and then I could basically like eat it and finish in like 10 minutes, and it's cost me $8. So. Or like on top of the food, so it's not the end of the world. $8. Some people it might be, but at the same time, like you just run out of time in the day, and that's what I was finding. I was running out of time in the day, especially when I was building the place. Dad would always have digs at me until I shouted in the first time, being like, "Oh, it's $8," and I was like, "But if we stop and both of us stop, we go to thing. That's not only 1 hour of dead time, and now it's 2 hours of dead time because two people have gone." And then he's just like. Like sort of started clicking, and then when I started getting like dumplings and all sorts of like ribs from Lone Star and all this, he was kind of like he didn't really care, but he was like, "This is great," and been shouting me, so it's all good. So I kind of just like look at it as kind of trying to be a little bit more efficient than wasting your time in your day, because as soon as you start wasting hours, you kind of get distracted and you go, like if you go out for lunch, you end up stopping and spinning a yarn to someone, and I often will bump into people, and it's not bad, but I could waste like a couple of hours on just going to get a snack, and I'm like, it's not efficient at all. And you'll just like at the 8 hour day, if you only wanted to be here for 8 hours, an hour and a half's gone, and you only got 7 or 6 hours to try to figure out what you're up to now.
No, it totally makes sense. But at first I was like, wait, what is this guy doing? Like, that's so crazy. When you explained it to me once, I was like, I totally get it. And the 1 or 2 times that I've ordered it, it's been great. You're literally editing, walk downstairs, grab it, scoff it, even while you can pretty much continue to do some jobs or do something.
You can be talking at the same time or doing something.
But as soon as you go into your car, drive somewhere, whereas you can decide on your phone what you want to eat instead of having to drive to some place and look at the menu and park and all that jazz.
It's losing your park as well in Sydenham. So as soon as you lose your park, you're like, damn it, now I'm out on Brom Street again.
Exactly. No, cool. Well, thanks for coming on. If people want to see what you're up to, or check out the Instagram, Facebook, all those good things, where can they find you?
Benny's Barbershop NZ is the Instagram handle, and it's just Benny's Barbershop on Facebook there, So that majority of where we post up all our updates. We've got a website.
He's working on a Pinterest as well.
Yeah, one day we'll get Pinterest there. Just working on those majority, and that's where we put all our updates, and Instagram is like a feed for like what we're up to, but kind of like every day or every second day we're posting stories of kind of like what's behind the scenes, because that's what you often see with Instagram, is it's all very staged and like posy, and behind the scenes where you're mucking around, you're doing random things, you're shooting hoops and you're kicking the ball around, or you're making some coffees. Like that's what we kind of want to be, like a little bit behind the scenes, a bit more rough than we need to be. Like you don't need to be so serious all the time. So that's why I was sort of trying to have some fun with the stories, and if people are doing dumb things or like doing skids on motorbikes, all sorts. So it's all part of our brand that we're trying to do, and it's that whole thing of it'd be rude not to. So you just do it. So.
Nice. Sweet, thanks for coming on.
Sweet.
See you all.
Thank you.
And that is it for this week's episode of the Quality Antics podcast. We've got new episodes being released every Thursday morning. here in New Zealand. If you're liking what you're listening to, then please hit us up on Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, and all of the other social pipes, and just come say hi at Quality Antics, or you can email me at qualityanticspodcast@gmail.com. Have a great week, take care, and keep having some quality antics.